Hey guys, my name's Nate Chai. I'm the founder of StoryWand. Thank you so much for coming on this webinar. Now, before we go into the 7 pieces of essential content you need to automate, optimize, and scale your business, I want to put your fears at ease. Who is this guy? Well, I used to be the editor of one of the largest business-to-business tech publications in the UK, where we would deal with about 50,000 unique users per day. So my job was to ensure that we had the content on the site to keep them coming back again and again. Now, since 2016, I've been helping small businesses with their content in a number of regards. So what I'm going to share with you today are some of the insights that I've learned and how to automate, optimize, and scale your business. So without further ado, let's get to it. This is the 7 pieces of essential content, how to automate, optimize, and scale your business. As the intro said, thank you so much for joining me. Over the next hour, we are going to teach you what the majority of businesses get wrong about sales. It's a sad truth, but most businesses have completely the wrong mindset when it comes to sales and don't understand that the key change for today's consumers and clients is they need to fully understand both their problem and your solution before they invest. The second thing we're going to show you is how to automate your processes so you can scale your business. One of the problems that I faced last year and still currently to some level is not the amount of leads I'm getting, but it's the amount of time that I have to spend with each client. We're going to show you how you can ensure that you have the time to spend the time with your clients that is required to give them the high level service that they demand. Finally, we're going to show you exactly what content you need to create. There's no point in wasting money and time creating content that is effectively useless or that you're not going to use again, and again. So, first of all, let's look at the ideal sales model. This is what I was getting at in the previous slide, and this is a 3-stage process that I've been using to pretty good success with myself and my clients. So the first part is to optimize your lead generation. What does this mean? It means that we need to capture our leads' information. Now, a lead is someone who's interested in your business, and they will start off as a prospect. We need to be able to capture their information in a useful way so that we can continue the conversation. Think the old Excel spreadsheets that you've probably created for yourself where you've just got a list of names, and email addresses, phone numbers, whatever. We're going to show you how you can turn that into an automated process. The next thing you need to do is qualify your leads. We've all had that sales meeting where we feel like we're just going over the same things over and over and over again. And then finally, when it gets to the end, the client doesn't have the money or the budget to afford our services. So we need to qualify our leads before we take them to the next step. This is going to save you a huge amount of time and therefore money. We also need to educate our prospects and our leads. We need to teach them why they need us and the problems that they're going to face in the future, or help them understand their problem they're currently facing. It's way easier to sell to someone who fully understands their problem and understands the solution that they need. The second stage is automating your sales process. So once we're getting a lot of great leads who we've qualified and who are educated about our products, we need to step out of that education role and find a way to automate it. The first part of that is to demonstrate our value. Now, you can do this using an email sequence, through a webinar like the one you're on, or through a lead magnet. We're going to talk a bit more about that later on in the webinar. The next thing you need to be able to do is negotiate. So we're going to show you the pieces of content that you need to be able to have that strong level of negotiation that you need with either a tricky client or just to seal the deal and get the close. Now, closing is the one part of the sales process that I would recommend you don't automate. You need to be there, or one of your team needs to be there face to face with this person to get the handshake, to get to the signature on the proposal or the contract that you've created. Finally, we need to maximize our profits. So one of the lessons that I learned early on is you can sell, but if you're committing a huge amount of time to onboarding your clients, to delivering the products or service that you offer, and working in your business rather than on your business, you're actually minimizing the profit that you have. And again, this is a 3-step process. We need to automate the onboarding system that you have, or the pieces of content that you share when someone signs up. You also need to learn how to offer more value during that process so that they stick with us and they turn from being a client to a fan. Finally, we need an upsell. We need to be able to show the client the journey that we want to take them on, and show them that we're not just around for one project. We're going to be in this for the long haul with them. So, stage 1. I'll give you a clue. Optimize your lead generation. The first piece of content is the website. Now, I've included this GIF of Homer's website that he makes in The Simpsons, because most websites that you go on are essentially just a collection of lights and images, and they don't provide any real value to yourself or the client. There might be a bit about your business, there might be a bit about you, but there's nothing to really hold them there. Now, I'm going to drop a bombshell right now, and perhaps this is going to be controversial. If you disagree, let me know in the comments, but you don't actually need a website. When we talk about a website, what we're talking about is a focal point for attention. This can be your Facebook page, your LinkedIn profile, whatever. It doesn't matter. You just need to be able to direct any leads that you have to a set point so that you can make sure that they do the one thing that you need them to do. Now, the one thing that you need them to do depends on the strategy that you've implemented. For me, it's getting a sales call. I love being face-to-face with people. I love showing off the things that we've done for our previous clients, and I love getting to know people. But for you, if you have perhaps a product or service that is on the lower end of the investment scale, you can sell directly from a webinar. So the one thing that you need people to do when they visit your LinkedIn profile, your website, or your Facebook page is to maybe download a lead magnet, or it might be to come on your webinar. Now, any one of these Facebook pages, LinkedIn, websites, they have to do these things. You need to capture the information, you need to educate the prospect, and you need to help them invite more questions about what it is that you do and how you can help them. When you capture information, this could simply be someone adding you as a friend on Facebook or liking your Facebook page. Then you've got the chance to send them information again and again and again and provide more and more value. Similarly, your Facebook page or your website or whatever, let's just call it a website from now on, needs to educate the prospect, help them understand their problem, and help them understand the solution that you provide. Finally, we need to get them to start asking us questions. That's the true sign that you're providing value, is when people say, wow, that was a great piece of information you've just given me. Can you tell me more? That's the buying signal that we're looking for to take people through the sales process. Hey guys, so I'm going to walk you through my website redesign that I've just done, so to show you a bit more about what I'm talking about when it comes to a focal point. So I'm going to walk you through the kind of story that we're looking to tell with this website. So the first thing, we've got a hero image. Myself is there, and you'll notice 2 buttons. Well, first thing you'll notice is this. We create content that sells. So that summarizes the entire value proposition right there. We create content that sells, whether it sells you, whether it sells itself. It's all about increasing revenue and selling. We've got 2 buttons here First one, talk to the team, and the second is learn more. Now, this learn more button will take people to a resource page where there's a lot of high value content there in case they want to learn a bit more about us. But the focal point of this is to get someone to talk to myself or my team. The next thing we've got here is a lead magnet, the 10 simple steps to publishing a publisher quality ebook. Now, this, full transparency, I am going to change to be something that's a bit more generally related to content. The reason I have that is because my business focus used to be on product creation, and this was the lead magnet that I produced. But what we have here is a way of capturing information if they don't want to talk to us. So when someone visits your website or the focal point for your business, first of all, they're going to want to know what is it that you do. So we've got here the stages that we take people through. So stage 1, optimize your lead generation. Stage 2, automate your sales process. And stage 3, maximize your profit. You'll notice here that I've used the same kind of words that I did in the earlier portion of the webinar. Now, the reason that we've done it like this is because you want to make sure that your messaging is consistent across all the platforms that you have. The human brain is a lot like a sieve. So what we're looking to do is make sure that people understand the messaging through repetition. So people understand that the 3 main services we offer are lead generation optimization, sales process automation, and maximizing people's profits through product creation. So once they've been through that, if they're convinced, we've got another call to action here, which is talk to the team. Now, the next question that people are often going to ask after, so what is it that you do? They're going to say, well, why are you qualified to talk about this? So the next part of the story is who we are. So this is myself, and here's, my bio, and then here's my business partner and dad and stuff about him, which shares, it builds trust with people. So it's like, okay, here's who we are, here's what we do, here's why we do it. And you'll notice another call to action here. So if they're sold on what it is that we do, they can come and have a chat. If they have more questions about who you are, it's like, okay, cool, yeah, oh, brilliant. Let's talk to them. But as a final piece of building trust with them, we've got a carousel of videos here of clients and people that we've helped before in the past. Anders, you're going to meet more of him later on. We've also featured him in our image here. Talking a bit about their experience with working with Story One, myself, and the rest of the team. And finally, here we have another call to action of talk to the team. So you'll notice how we've focused this on making sure that we're getting sales meetings. If they don't want to, or if you guys don't want to talk to us for whatever reason, we've also got another piece of high value content here. So we can capture that information and then we can put them through our nurturing sequence or any of the other email sequences that we're going to talk about in the next section. One of the reasons why I really like websites is because you can focus on the kind of action you want them to take next. You'll notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4 calls to action here, getting people to do one thing. It's pretty obvious that we want you to talk to us here. And that's what you guys are looking to do with your website, your LinkedIn profile, or your Facebook page, is getting people to do one action. The second piece of content that you need is the lead magnet. Now, I've included this GIF of Jesse Pinkman from the popular TV show Breaking Bad just to show his level of excitement about what I assume to be lead magnets. Sorry, Mum, for the no-no word that's included there. So, what we're trying to do with a lead magnet is create your ideal client. The first thing is we need them to trust you. Before we get more onto that, I want to talk a bit more about ideal clients. Most of us focus on finding the ideal clients, and that's all well and good. When we create a customer avatar, we assign a load of values to them, right? So we're looking for someone between the ages of 35 and 45, they run a business, they make between 250 and 500,000 pounds per year in their business, and they like cats. They also enjoy, 4x4 driving. But the simple fact is, even with that kind of person, we still need to create them and build them into our ideal client. Now, the trust you portion is going to come from the level of value that you provide in the lead magnet itself. We also need to make sure that we're focusing on helping our potential client understand their problem. Whenever we download a lead magnet or come on a webinar like this, it's often because we have some questions and perhaps we're a little confused or we're looking for some sort of answer. However, you and I both know that the solution that we provide is often bespoke. So what we need to do is help them understand what their problem is. A classic example of this is one of my clients who I'm going to introduce you to later. She sells recruitment advertising, and a lot of her clients, they work in the direct sales industry, so they have a high rate of employment. They're looking to get more and more salespeople. A lot of them think, well, if I just have more people coming in for interviews, then I'm going to have more sales reps. Now, that is somewhat true, but the truth is their recruitment funnel could be optimized, because even if they're getting 100 interviews per day and only hiring one person, if they made sure that they got less interviews per day and spent longer higher on the interview process and making sure that the person understands the role, they might be able to employ far more people per month, per week, whatever, rather than the one. Similarly, a lot of the problems that we have maybe aren't what we think the problem is, isn't what the problem actually is. Finally, with our lead magnets, we need people to understand our solution and understand how it works. When it gets to the stage where we meet them face to face, we want them to have a great idea about what it is that we do, the products that we sell or the services that we sell, and how they're going to solve the problem that the client has figured out for themselves. So, what is a lead magnet? A lead magnet can really take the form of any media. Even if you're, say, let's take a random example, as a composer, your lead magnet could be, hey, I created this piece of music. It would be perfect for this kind of advert. And when they download it, they're like, oh, wow, yeah, this is really good. I should follow this up. Similarly, it could be a webinar like this one. It could be a guide that you've created. It could be a free consultation for your business. It could even be a free quote. Any media works. And what we found is that different media works for different target markets. Depending on the person who you wanted to target and who your ideal client profile is, different media is going to work for different people. So if people are very visual, they might want to come on a webinar like the one you're currently on. Some people who are more detail oriented might prefer a technical document or a white paper. It doesn't really matter the kind of media that you choose as long as you test it. There's a secondary thing here where if you're going to be creating the media yourself, make sure that you create something that you enjoy doing. People can feel the level of enthusiasm behind your voice, and they will judge you on a subconscious level with how enthusiastic you are about the content that you produce. So if it's a video, you need to make sure that you're excited and you're really pushing out some emotions there. And if you prefer writing, then it's going to reflect in your writing. Also, one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of people do is they try and fit in every single little bit of information in their lead magnet. What we need to remember is that the lead magnet is one step of the ladder in your sales process. More on that later. We need to attract them and say, well, this is the problem. This is the solution. But we need to do it in a way that's very defined and very niche, because we can't bore them. Also, in terms of our mindset, this is the start, effectively, of a relationship. This is about 15 minutes into the first date. We've sat down at dinner, we've had our first glass of wine, so things are getting a bit more relaxed. That's when the lead magnet comes in. So we're just revealing a bit more information about ourselves that's kind of quick and easy to consume and easy to understand. So here's a short guide for how to create the perfect lead magnet. Your strategy, you need to ask yourself, who is my target customer? Like I was saying earlier, you need to build up a solid idea of who it is that you're looking to target. Make sure you understand their industry. Make sure you understand their revenue. Make sure you understand their personality traits as well. And ask yourself, what is their biggest problem, both within their business and how is it affecting them emotionally? And this leads on to asking the question, what does my target customer need to know more about? In this case, you guys are looking for more information about effective content to create. Now, this has been a problem with my clients who are very experienced business people, really wanting to know more about how using technology and how using the web can make their businesses better. The final question you need to ask is, what do I want my target customer to do next? We need to build our lead magnets as a kind of like a queue system, right? So we need to say, well, you guys are queuing up because you want to go on the ride. So we need to make sure that they've got a ride to go on. And again, this is going to depend on how your sales process looks. For me, after the lead magnet is booking a sales call with me for the reasons that I spoke about earlier. But for you, it might be to visit your offices. It might be to consume more content. I don't know. But the fact is, you need to have a strategy behind the lead magnet. Now, with the content itself, the first thing you need to address is the fact that the reader should self-qualify. This means that you're highly targeting a certain type of person. Again, like I was saying about the target customer, we need to make sure that we're getting the consumer of the content to mentally tick some boxes in their brain about who they are and what we want them to do. The next thing the content needs to do is again, like I've been saying, make sure that they understand their problem. What they think they need is never what they actually need. One of the services that I offer is a book creation service. So we make high-impact books for coaches, consultants, and small business owners. And I get a lot of people coming to me and saying, hey, I want to write a book. And I say, that's great. But what do you actually need? What are some of the problems that you're facing in your business right now? And they say, well, I need more brand awareness, or I need more leads, or I need more sales. And the truth is that often a book can solve those things, but it might not be the most efficient way of doing it for them. So in the content, we need to explain to them and give them the tools to self-analyze their business so that when we present them with our solutions, they can say, oh, actually, I thought I needed this, but actually I need this. Now, in the rare case that they know exactly what they need and we agree with them, your sales process is much easier because they're just going to be like, okay, cool, they offer these solutions. This makes sense to me. So, as I'm sure you can guess, the final piece of the content is the solution to creating our ideal client. We're looking to show them how they can create the results that they're looking for. Now, often that will be with us, but what we need to be able to do is educate them on our solutions to the point where they're like, I feel confident either investing in this or testing this out myself. Now, again, let's be clear. We want to make sure that the people who consume our lead magnets feel confident with making a purchasing decision. So when we talk about the solution, you might not want to go specifically into a how-to, but more what to do and give them the strategy behind the next steps. Finally, as they all say, the fortune is in the follow-up. So our main goal with the lead magnet is to get them to a point where they feel comfortable with us nurturing that relationship, where they're asking us more questions, where they're giving us the level of engagement that we're looking for. We also need to automate the content delivery. Now, when I first got started, a huge amount of time was spent on sending people through Facebook Messenger and email myself the content that I created in the hopes that they would get their hands on it. Now, if you've got a VA, this is pretty easy, but again, we're automating it for ourselves. We're either automating or outsourcing it. And we need to make sure that when we're doing that nurturing, we have systems in place that mean we can focus on other areas of the business at the same time. Because you want to be doing the other things that mean a lot to you. You want to be building those new relationships. You want to be attending those networking events. You want to be doing collaborations with other people. So we need to automate that nurturing system. Finally, we need to optimize our conversion rate. If you know that 1,000 people download your lead magnet and only one of that leads into a sales call, we've got to ask ourselves, okay, well, that's a 0.1% conversion rate. How can we improve it? What's the issue here? Is it because the lead magnet isn't strong enough itself? Because clearly, if 1,000 people have downloaded, the title must be good and people want the content. So we need to be able to analyze effectively each of the major points along our sales process in order to optimize. If you would like a longer version of this guide, please do send me an email, nate@storyone.co, and I will get back to you. So the third piece of content that you need in your business is an email sequence. So once they've downloaded the lead magnet, what are they going to do? I've included this fun GIF of a Rube Goldberg machine. If you want to waste a bit of time on YouTube, I would recommend looking up Rube Goldberg machines. They're just little things that kind of, automated delivery systems, I guess, in a sense. So the first thing that you want in an email sequence is to make sure that it's automated. We don't want to be spending our whole days emailing people over and over again. The second thing you need to know about email sequences is that there are loads of different types which do different things. There's nurturing sequences, onboarding sequences, engagement sequences, sales sequences. There's all kinds of different email sequences to focus on. And they're all designed to get the reader to take an action. I'll say that again. They're all designed to get the reader to take an action. At the end of the day, we need people moving along our sales processes if we're going to close and increase our revenue. But what we're going to be focusing on is the nurturing sequence. So this is the sequence that typically goes after someone has downloaded or consumed your lead magnet. It needs to introduce you and your business. You need to set expectations about your business and being on the mailing list. And you want to educate them so you don't have to. Again, the whole problem that a lot of people fail to do in sales is to properly educate their leads on the leads problem as well as the potential solutions. So when it comes to the sales meeting, you're going to have the best clients who are like, yeah, cool, I need this, I know I need this, and at that point, it just becomes about negotiation. So typically, when you run an email sequence, you're looking at about 4 to 5 emails, with the end result being for them to take an action, whether that's to make a purchase with you or if it's to book a sales call. Now, there's lots of different ways you can do this. One of the ways that I like is we start up here. So they've received the lead magnet. Then afterwards, they get the first email. Now, the first email is just a bit about you and what they can expect from being subscribed to your list. It's important here that you set the expectations. So you say, every Wednesday, I'm going to send you this piece of content. Now, what we're doing there is making sure that people understand they're not just part of some other email list. This is going to be one that provides value and that you're focused on giving them, a reward for the time that they've invested. The second email might talk a bit more about some of the problems that you help businesses deal with. So they give a clear understanding. Okay, cool. I'm this person. I have these problems. What can this person do to help me? The next one will be a list of your solutions. When I say a list of your solutions, I don't mean just a brochure. What I mean is you're talking about the things that you've provided or the results that you've created with your clients. And then finally, you might have some sort of call to action. So you'll say, well, I'm actually running a webinar that deals with the problems that they've already been primed on. They already have some awareness of the solution, so you don't need to go into the basics, and you can get a bit more in depth with your webinar. Or it can just be get them to book a sales call. If you're interested, you can get Right, so when it comes to email sequences, there's a lot that you can do. But to keep it simple, I'm just going to walk you through a 4-stage nurturing sequence. So the first email that you send will be about you and your mailing list. You're setting the expectations for the lead. You're going to go through things like how many times are you going to email them? What kind of content are you going to talk to them about? What Okay, so when it comes to doing email sequences, there's so many different things that you can do. In a nurturing sequence, for someone who probably hasn't really been exposed to your business that much, I'm just going to walk you through an easy 4-step email sequence. The first one is an introduction. You set the expectations about what it means to be on the mailing list. Probably make sure that you're not going to spam them. Make sure that they understand the value that you're looking to provide and the kind of content that you tend to write about. The second email you're going to send is a list of common problems that you see in people with those types of businesses. What we're doing there is qualifying the reader, or more accurately, we're getting them to self-qualify. So if you've done your target market research well enough, you should have a really accurate idea, and the person should be looking at the email being like, oh my goodness, this is exactly me. The next week, we're then going to send them the solutions email, where you go through some of the common solutions that you've provided for your clients or people who you've worked with. So this might be in the form of a case study. This might be in the form of a testimonial. The fourth email will be the big call to action. So you're going to say, hey guys, well, if the previous emails have resonated with you, I've got a webinar about XYZ. Or if the previous emails have resonated with you, jump on a sales call. We're doing a free consultation about your business, or a free quote, or something of a bit more value that requires slightly more time investment than it took to consume your lead magnet. Right, well done. On to stage 2. Automate your sales process. So, here's our sales process. Here is a little GIF from Adventure Time there, I think. And what I want to show is, although we all start small, we can eventually grow, but we need the help of systems in order to do that. So a sales process is a step-by-step guide that you've created that goes from stranger to client. It identifies the key client motivation so you understand where the client's coming from and how you can provide most value to them. Now, it's an internal document, so you don't necessarily want to show people your sales process, or you don't need to, but it's good to have there because, one, it will indicate to you or provide a rough guide on how ready someone is to buy. You'll also be able to see weaknesses in your sales process. Again, we were talking about optimizing our conversion rates. And finally, it allows you to scale. Once we have our processes in place, we can share those with a virtual assistant or use technology to automate these processes, which allows us to scale because we're freeing up our time and we can do a lot more. This is a sales process that one of my clients made at a workshop. Now, what you can see there, it's a circle. It looks very complex, I know, but let me explain it. So we've got a 9-step sales process. If you look at the top of the circle, we start off with the introduction. So for you, this might be meeting someone at a networking event or visiting your website or Facebook page or LinkedIn or whatever. We need them and ourselves to figure out, do we want them as a client? That's the first thing we need to do. So that can be done by them reading your lead magnet or by getting them to somehow self-qualify. We then need to figure out, what is it that this person needs? Now, Coach Nikki is a weight loss, she's a health coach, and she helps people either build muscle mass, lose fat, or gain weight after they maybe have suffered from some sort of eating disorder. So her goal is to then figure out, well, what is it this person really needs from me? Now, we can break down exactly what our clients need from us, and I wouldn't recommend to break it down into more than 3 overall goals for the person. For example, in my business, I know that I can help people save time, make them money, or help them stand out. Those are the 3 things that I offer, and that's going to depend on some sort of maybe a lead page, maybe another piece of content where people can say, okay, cool, this is what I'm interested in. And as we go round the sales process, you can see that it's all about education. So process awareness is how Coach Nikki works with her clients. Finally, she answers all the questions that these prospects or leads have about her business, and even asking them questions about who they are. Finally, she looks at education, so looking at maybe some of the objections that they might have about using a service, like, oh, it takes up too much time, it costs too much. You need to create content that answers a lot of these objections. Finally, she provides a good, better, and best option. This is tailored to the client. So this is probably done during the face-to-face meeting. And finally, she has the sale, and then she onboards them. Now, to create something like this, all you need to do is just sit down and have a think. Okay, how do I go about finding people and then turning them into a client? Feel free to take a screen grab of this. Coach Nikki said I was allowed to use this. But yeah, use this as a framework. It's not necessarily going to be the best thing for your business, but it's a great place to start. This is what we call a dynamic document as well. So as you grow and evolve, it's probably going to change a little bit here and there. So make sure that you don't stick too rigidly to this system. Finally, every single step of the way requires some more content. So even the sale, she needs to make sure that her proposals, and we're going to go into proposals a bit later, is up to scratch, and that will automate some of the process for her. Similarly, having all the text for the good, better, best option, she needs to have her product lists down. She needs to be able to create content that says, okay, well, here's the different options that you have. Here's why you need it. Here's what makes it suitable for you. All right, so as we mentioned previously, the proposal. Now, hopefully, as soon as you send a proposal to your prospective clients, they're going to be as happy as this woman and just fall down and be like, oh, my goodness, finally, this is exactly what I've needed. But this is where many businesses fall down. Now that my business is doing somewhat well, I have a bit more purchasing power. And as a result, a lot of people are pitching products to me and pitching their services to me. And even multi-million-pound companies have terrible proposals, or they just don't send them. And the truth is that you're leaving a lot of money on the table if you're not creating a good proposal. Because as a client, I want to know exactly what it is that I'm buying. I want to know exactly what it is that I'm investing my money in. You know, I want to know the kind of services that are actually being offered. I want to know exactly how it works. And it's just me. I'm quite an analytical person, but it also protects you and the client. Because if you can have a detailed proposal, you can say, well, hey, this is the proposal. This is what we're going to do for you. Anything outside of that, we can have a separate conversation about. But this is exactly what we're going to provide to you. Finally, it builds trust in you and your business. If you've ever invested 5, 10, 15,000 pounds in something and someone doesn't have good documentation of exactly what it is that you're buying, you feel kind of uncomfortable with it, right? It's like buying a Rolex and not having that certificate of authenticity. It adds that layer of professionalism that's really going to help you stand out from a lot of your competitors. With a solid proposal, you get negotiation room. Because you've told the client exactly what it is that they're going to get and the price that they need to invest, they can then say, well, you know what? Which parts do I need and which parts do I not need? And then you've got a chance to say, well, to be honest, looking at the problem that you've helped them analyze, you can then say, well, what solutions would you suggest? What are you going to do about it? And similarly, they might say, well, hey, listen, you've offered me 12 months support, but realistically, this is a 16-month project. Can we throw some more consultation time in? For a lot of you guys out there that run service businesses, make sure that you include the consultation time in the proposal. A lot of us do it for free, and I know I've been guilty of that as well, and just my clients will call me up out of the blue and be like, hey, listen, have you got 30 minutes to just chat? That's perfectly fine. If you enjoy doing that, that's fine. But if you include it in the proposal, not only does it show the extra value that you're going to do, but you set a limit on it so that they keep coming to you and they understand that it's not just, part of the service, and it's ascribed a value, a number value to your time. Like I was saying, it's going to differentiate you from your competitors. Even large organizations don't send effective proposals. And your competitors aren't going to have that same level of forethought to make their clients think, oh yeah, this person actually really, really knows what they're doing. They really, really know how to provide value. And I feel comfortable investing in this, especially if you're in the service industry where it's kind of like, oh yeah, okay, cool. You're providing coaching. Cool. What are the results for that? Finally, you're going to have a much easier conversion rate. If you don't send the proposal after having a sales conversation, or before you've had the sales conversation, send a proposal, you're going to be wasting a lot of time with people that don't necessarily know if they need what you've got. And you're going to spend a lot of that sales meeting, whether it's an hour and a half or 45 minutes, just educating them further. If you've made sure that they've received the proposal and that they've read it before the sales meeting, you're going to have a much, much easier time converting them because they already know exactly what it is that you do, the value that you provide, and the problems that you solve. So here's a mini guide to your proposals. The first thing is the executive summary. This is the only part that you actually need to write yourself. What I'd recommend doing is at the beginning, talking a bit about their company, go onto their website and choose some of the words that they use, their verbiage, and include that in describing what the company does. Then you're going to need to explain what it is that your company does and why there is synergy between the two of you. Finally, you're going to want to address some of the things that you've spoken about with the owner or the person who you've been communicating with the company. Focus on the value and expected results that they were looking for. So if they have a problem with not enough leads, you can say, well, here's kind of what we expect. Here's how many leads you can expect from this if you go with the service. Again, this is why listening is so important when it comes to sales, is that we can focus on the value that they're looking for. And going back to the sales process document, once we understand what their goal is and we sell to that goal, they're going to feel so much more special because people want to do business with people. I know you've probably heard that before, but it's very true. And when someone keeps talking at me and I've specifically said, well, actually, I'm looking for this, not this, it really creates a dissonance and you lose rapport and you lose trust. So make sure that you focus on the value that they've said that they need from you. You also want to give them an overview of the services that they've requested or services that you feel they need, and break that down. Break that down as far as you can go. So what I do is I put in a table in my executive summaries. I have 4 columns, one with the name of the service, one with the benefits, then the expected delivery time, and then the investment. This is going to, again, give you that negotiation room for them to say, okay, cool, this all looks good. Also, you can bundle in stuff using this. So instead of it being like, oh, hey, this is free, you can say, well, actually, for you, I'm discounting this. Whether that's something that is a huge value add to them, but of a low cost to you, or if it's some sort of extra bonus that you want to provide them just because you really want to work with them. The next part is the product guide. So the product guide will be a list of all the services in the overview that you've provided. Now, this will be like their own unique sections. You only need to write this bit once. So you explain the problem that it solves. You go into a bit of detail, say maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs about the problem that you find most of your clients have, and then you talk about the solution that you provide them. So you set it up, and then you say, okay, well, these are the problems, here's how we're going to solve it. And here you want to be a bit detailed. You can focus on the benefits, but also you can focus on the features as well. This is at the proposal stage, so we can be a bit more educational with the content that we create. Finally, you want to set the expectations for results and what it's like to work with you. One of the biggest problems that I faced in my business is not setting expectations properly. Me not saying to my clients, well, in order for you to get the results that we expect, you need to do this. So in order to get these results, we're expecting you guys to have a minimum ad spend of £2,000 a month. Or in order for me to finish this book within 6 months, you need to have done the final edit within a month. So you need to set the expectations for the results. Finally, you want to include payment terms. Give people options. Give people the options of, paying in what do they call it? Like sections. So you might want to look at payment every 3 months, and you want to have a paid in full option. If you're offering a payment option, I would recommend putting the price up by 25%. If you don't do that, you're going to find that the client's going to end up costing you a lot more, because you're going to have to spend that time chasing them, trying to get the invoice done, and it's a real hassle. But also, again, if you offer them options, then you're giving yourself negotiation room. You also want to include milestones. So if you have a payment plan, set milestones for what you expect is going to happen. After 1 month, we're going to have this done. After 2 months, we're going to have this and this done. After 3 months, we're going to have this, this, and this done, and we're going to be finished with the project, and we can move on to stage 2. You also want to include somewhere for them to sign. Now, this is a psychological principle because it's a proposal. It's not necessarily a legal contract. However, the act of allowing them to sign it shows their commitment. It shows that they're ready to move forward with the document. So instead of just reading it and being like, you've given them something to do that gives it legitimacy. Also, I haven't created a full guide for proposals, but if you would like to receive a proposal full guide, send me an email about it, and if there's enough response for it, I'll create one. So, stage 3, the most exciting. Well, I don't know, they're all pretty exciting, really. Maximize your profits. So we've got a onboarding document / sequence. Now, this is designed to make sure that people are comfortable with using you and your service. Have you ever bought something and then been like, oh, what happens now? What about if something goes wrong? With an onboarding sequence, you can remove that buyer's remorse. So you're probably going to see a decline in the amount of refunds that people are looking for. You're also helping the client feel safe with their investment, because they're going to be They're going to understand that you've put in the time and effort to know that they're probably asking these questions about the purchase they've just made, especially if it's a significant investment. Finally, it saves you time. Instead of having to call up every single person, you can provide them some documentation that says, okay, cool, here's how this works, here's how this works, here's how this works. So here's what you should include. Ask yourself, typically, what are your clients' next questions as soon as they've bought? They'll probably ask questions like, what are my first steps? Who's my point of contact? How does everything work? If you're running a service-based business, you're going to say, well, expect weekly reports from us. Your first steps as a client might be to then book a strategy session with you or one of your team. Similarly, it's lovely to know that there is someone who is dedicated to me as the client, and how do I contact them if I have something that I need to ask or understand about the thing I just bought. Now, I haven't included a bit more in-depth stuff about that because it's so unique to each business. But if you follow the steps in the previous slide, again, here it is. What are your clients' next questions? 3 or 4 is fine. And what I would recommend doing is answering each of these questions in a separate email or in a separate section of your onboarding document. The reason for this is, like the website or your focal point of attention, any content that you produce needs to do one thing. It needs to share one idea before you move on to the next one. Cool. So finally, we've got the product or service. Now, the reason I included this GIF is because we can feel quality, and we need to provide that high quality if we're going to get people coming back again and again and again. And to be honest, it's often the little things that affect how we feel about buying something. With your products, I don't know, my dad got a new car recently, and where the cup holders are located and where the steering wheel buttons are, and if it's got seat warmers, you can feel quality in a product because you get your clients to say, wow, they've thought of everything. With a service, it's more emotional. It's them saying, I feel looked after. Whether that's continual contact or regular contact with their point of contact in your business, whether it's value adds that you give them, whether it's people you introduce them to, you want them to feel looked after. And again, you can do that you can create a similar thing to your sales process, but with an upsell process where you take people again on a similar loop and you keep adding value to them. We're looking for repeat customers. So it's worthwhile investing in quality production. That might be making sure that your proposals look good. That might be making sure that your video courses look good. That might be making sure that every interaction that your clients have with you and your business is quality. Because realistically, we're looking to have people come back to us again and again and again. And if they don't feel looked after, they're simply not going to come back. There's loads of competitors for every single business out there. And we want to turn our clients into fans. Similarly, we need to find wow moments for our clients. One of my clients actually, what she does for her clients is take them to awards shows that she's been invited to, or just check in with them for dinner, not doing any business, just saying, okay, how you going? Another one of my suppliers, he gets me on podcasts, he invites me to speak at speaking events. These are the wow moments for your clients that a lot of other businesses probably aren't going to do for them, and that's how you get them to stick around. Now, a note on cost. Cheapest doesn't yield as much repeat business as you think. If your primary differentiator from the rest of your competitors is cheapness, what do you think is going to happen as soon as someone launches something cheaper than you? Your clients are going to move. They're going to say, well, this is cheaper than that. I'm going to move over to them. So make sure that your differentiating factor isn't the cost of your product or service. All right, when it comes to the product or service that you're offering, people can really feel the difference between something that is low effort and high effort. And it's typically the little touches that you add that help people feel really special when they work with you. Now, I'm going to show you 2 products that I've made. This here was the first book that I ever made. Now, some things that I would change is I actually designed this cover myself in just Photoshop. Didn't pay a professional to do it. Did it all myself. And this was really more of a proof of concept. But on the inside as well, you can see that the typesetting isn't the most attractive thing in the world. And yeah, there's just a lot of kind of things that I thought would look good, but ended up not looking great. However, now, if you look at one of the more recent releases that we've done, you'll notice a huge spike in quality. So first of all, this is a hardback with the dust cover. Again, it adds that premium feel. So my client, Johnny, loved the book. Really, really loved it. Similarly, we got this professionally typeset with, well, I got someone in my team to do this, as well as adding little details like his logo and all the corners. And we paid for things like this, where you get quotes put in, and a lot of design work went into it, all to add that premium feel to the book. Now, if you're just running a service business and you don't necessarily have a product, you can do the same thing. Typically, this is done through 3 things. The first one is checking in on the client. When we buy something, we put our trust that someone's doing the work that we've told them to do. So by adding weekly or regular touch points with that client that they can expect, and that they get reports of what you've been doing, what's been completed, and what still needs to be done, it adds that extra layer of high quality premium feel to their experience. Another thing you can do is add value wherever you can. So one of the things that that I really appreciate from one of my suppliers is they'll invite me to awards, galas, or invite me to just hang out with them and leverage some of the things that they have to make me feel special. It's a difficult thing to do. So what I'd recommend for you guys watching this is to think about the last time that anyone made you feel special. Whether that was receiving flowers from someone unexpectedly, or receiving a phone call that was just genuinely them calling to chat about you. Think about all those things that make you feel special and add those small touches to your product or service. Similarly, you'll want to document these, not for the end consumer themselves, but so that later on, when you stop doing so much of the delivery and do more of the running of the business, your team will have a good idea of all of the things that they can do to help your customers feel special. So these are the common business owner problems that I've been trying to address in this webinar. Your business could be impacting way more lives. We all set out, and when we start our businesses, because we're looking to help more people. You probably started your business because you saw a gap in the market, or you weren't being served in the right way. The second thing is that we can't take a break without losing a ton of momentum. My girlfriend and I went to the Philippines for a couple of weeks, and as soon as I came back, I had to kind of like rev myself up again in order to get the kind of sales and revenue that I was looking to get. Another common problem is that we feel our businesses aren't growing as fast as it could be. I know last year I was like, oh my goodness, my business, I wish it was growing faster. I've got a lot of these systems in place, so why haven't I gone into the stratosphere yet? And finally, your family and friends miss you. You know, you're pulling these 10 to 12-hour days, and you're sacrificing a lot of your social life. And one of the things that I've made a mission this year is to spend more time with my family and friends, because there's been a few health scares, and I recognize that is a hugely important part of my life, is to spend more time with people that love me. Now, a lot of people are going to sell you a solution, but there's a lot of problems with them. The first thing is that they try and implement a model that doesn't fit your business. There's a a lot of people talk about how, oh yeah, you just need to slap on this kind of model or this kind of model, and they use a one-size-fits-all approach. This is a lot like gambling, right? It's a lot like choosing a horse at random and then backing it. What you need is someone that's going to create a solution that works for your business, for your target market, and most importantly, for you. If you don't love face-to-face sales meetings, then there are ways around it. Similarly, if your target market responds better to video, then why are you creating like white papers for them? You need someone who understands your business and you and how you want to operate. Similarly, most of the solutions only offer one piece of the puzzle. Some people only offer lead pages. Some people only offer email automation. Some people only offer the product itself. What I found that most people are looking for is they're looking for a turnkey solution, something that they can just say, go and build this for me, freeing up your time so you can spend the time with your family and friends, or you can spend time going to more networking events, and just say, okay, cool, this now works. Finally, most businesses don't grow as you grow. They're looking to sell you a specific solution, and they're looking to, once that's done, they're looking for their next client. So, here's an awkward truth. I don't know what you need yet. But that's happened with every single one of my clients. I'm going to introduce you to some now. So this is Anders. Anders and I met when I was speaking in South Africa. He runs a consulting firm for engineering companies. Now, initially when we met, Anders, great guy, really smart, but he had a problem that he wasn't growing as fast as he could do. So we got together and we thought, okay, how do we build Anders' content? Because he had this great system that he wanted to implement in a lot of engineering companies. So we worked together for a year, and he got a speaking gig, and he got another speaking gig, and I think this was a 6-figure consulting gig here, and then he got another speaking gig, and eventually last year, and there was another one, sorry, and then eventually he won an award at an entrepreneur's event. So congratulations to Anders. Now, this is Kristen. Kristen has a 7-figure recruitment advertising business. I mentioned her previously. But this is actually us holding the first sort of skeleton of her book. So she was already running a successful business. And after working with us, she started getting a lot more traction. Here she is on top of a mountain with the ex-VP of marketing for Facebook, Randy Zuckerberg. The other lady is Yasmin, one of her team. And she started speaking at a lot more events and getting a lot more clients. And then she actually started winning awards. Here she is. She was nominated for the Southwark Business Excellence Award. And eventually she won Micro Business of the Year from the Federation of Small Businesses. So great job, Kristen. Now, here's the solution that I'm offering to you guys. Like I mentioned earlier, I only sell 3 things. I'll either make you money, save you time, or make you stand out. I don't know which of those you need yet, but hopefully during this webinar, you've been able to think, yeah, I definitely need one of those things. So what I'm going to do for you guys today is give you a full business analysis so you understand why your business isn't growing or you're not hitting the targets that you're looking for. Now, normally I charge £312.50 for this, but today you can book one for free. Yes, indeed. I'll also give you a comprehensive guide to creating content that will automate, simplify, and scale your business. Now, I only have time to do 5 of these per week. So if the calendar booking app is full, go to the next week, and then you should be able to book one there. Finally, there's a questionnaire at the end of this. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, fill that in, and then you'll get the information to book your session. Thank you so much, guys, for spending this time with me, and I look forward to chatting with some of you eager beavers later on.